if you have any questions that you would direct to Dr. Shange, please raise your hand and ask your question. If you're finding that you are in a noisy environment, please make use of the chat box or the meeting chat and post your question there. I keep an eye on that meeting chat throughout the presentation, and then I will we'll address your questions as we go along. Thank you. Okay, so our session today is called Reading Strategically, and it's the first tutorial in a series that we're going to be offering as part of the exam preparation for this module for the month of October, on the Saturday mornings before leading up to your exam, which is on the 21st. Yeah. So, as I've said before, my name is Lynn Isaacs, and I'm the tutor for based at the, or rather within the Paro Learning Centre in the Western Cape for this module called ENG1503, or Academic Language and Literacy in English. And the reason we're focusing on reading strategically is that reading strategically is one of the, I'd like to call it one of the most beneficial and in fact one of the most critical skills that you as an undergraduate and as a novice academic writer, you need to develop and really hone that skill of reading strategically as a student at a university, because you're going to come across loads and loads of reading, and you're going to find yourself overwhelmed with the volume of reading you're going to have to get through as an undergraduate. And as you move to postgraduate, the reading just becomes more. So using your reading strategies and being aware of the different ways that we read, that we can read, is so important. And it's a really great time-saving skill and technique, not only for us at university, but also it's a great life skill to have. Unfortunately, we come from a schooling background, and I include myself in that, where we were taught to read slowly, word for word. And so many students today find themselves bogged down with reading slowly, word for word, and then not finishing in time. You know, back in the day, which was just last semester, or rather last year, where we wrote exams. And so people got stuck during the exams because they didn't have enough time, because they were reading so slowly. So just to give you an overview of what we're going to do today, we're going to do a little warm-up activity as a check-in. And please don't forget, as I'm speaking, to add your student number to the register that Bronwyn's posted in the meeting chat. Then we're going to look at the various reading strategies available to us as students at a university, and not only as students at university, but just in our life generally. And we're going to hone in on reading interactively, because it's the reading interactively and reading critically that is crucial for a university student. Then we're going to take those skills, and we're going to look at how do we use this in an exam environment, in an exam situation. So we're going to look at using the reading strategies in the exam. I'll then tell you a little bit about the next workshop, and we'll do a checkout. Before we get started, just some housekeeping with regards to our interaction here today. You know, virtual teaching and learning has become a very different way of doing things, and it's something that I've had to get used to, and you as a student also have needed to adjust and adapt to the way of interacting in this way. So always log in via the Teams app. You'll find that you will have access to all of the functions that are available to you. Keep your microphone muted always, unless you want to ask a question. And of course, before you ask the question, raise your hand and raise your hand, and then I will either invite you to post the question in the meeting chat, or unmute your microphone. Keep your camera off at all times. It just uses less data for everyone concerned. Then use the raise hand function in the Teams on the Teams bar. You'll find, if for those of you logged in on a cell phone, you will find that if you've got the little bar where it has your microphone muted and your camera switched off, and then you have those three dots. Now, when you tap on the three dots, you'll find a little menu will pop up, and you'll see there'll be an icon that says raise hand. Simply use that. For those of you logged in on a computer, you should be able to see it quite easily on your Teams little window. Add your student number to the register using the link in the meeting chat. Use the Teams meeting chat to ask a question when the connection is too poor for speaking, or give feedback when I request feedback from you. My sessions are always interactive, and the way in which I interact with you and keep you engaged is you're participating in the meeting chat when I ask, and of course you're posting your questions. If you have any technical issues, please send an email to ctntut@unisa.ac.za. All of our resources are online. All our sessions are recorded, and just so that you are aware now that we are recording the session, and students, our recordings, presentations, and notes are available on the Western Cape region site. For those of you who are not there, you need to log into my UNISA. What you do is when you go to your sites, and if you don't see the Western Cape region site there, you will have to send an email to ctntut@unisa.ac.za, and they will add you to the site so that you can access all of the recordings. And what I do with the notes is I will select specific slides from my presentation, and I convert that to a PDF document, and I upload it as notes for people who want to go back to what was discussed. At the end of the session, we ask that you complete the evaluation form using the link in the meeting chat, which will be posted there towards the end of the session at 10:30. So then our objectives today, and what we're wanting to accomplish, is for you to be able to use the reading strategies interchangeably. We want you to be able to read a text interactively and critically, be able to analyze the exam questions, and be able to answer the exam questions effectively. So today, you will need the following alongside your smartphone. If you've logged in using your phone, or if you're sitting at a computer, you're going to need your study guide 501, the module study guide. For those of you who have a prescribed textbook, I probably won't go to the textbook, but just keep it close by. And then, of course, some note paper, because I am going to ask you to write some things down, and of course, a pen. Are there any questions at this stage? I will stop sharing the presentation now, just so that I can see if there are any comments or questions. Any comments or questions? Okay. If anything comes to mind, please make use of the meeting chat. Is everyone here able to access? Are you seeing the meeting chat? Let me share my desktop, and then I can show you. For those of you who are not seeing it. Okay. So now you're seeing my desktop. All right. Thanks, Sisetu. The way to access the meeting chat is to click on this icon here. So I'll just hide this for now, take it away. So for those of you just seeing that on your screen, all you do is you go show conversation. For people using a phone, go to the three dots on the next door to your microphone and your camera, and then the meeting chat will appear. Thanks, Annaline. All right, so I'm going to assume then that most people can access the chat. So I'll go back to the presentation. So as a check-in and a warm-up for today, what we're going to do is a 3-minute activity. I realize that I might have to give you a little bit more time because sometimes the chat takes a bit long to upload. So I may give you a little bit more time. But the reason I put 3 minutes there is because I want you to understand it's going to be a quick activity. So in your study guide, I'd like you to turn to page 18 and 19. And that's study guide 501 for the module. So you're going to go to pages 18 and 19. And what I want you to do is I want you to list the reading strategies that you find on those 2 pages. I want you to list the reading strategies on pages 18 and 19 in your study guide in the meeting chat. So I'm going to type the question in the chat. And SG stands for study guide. And your time has started. I'm going to put some music on, and we'll see how that goes. So remember, start posting as soon as you see, as soon as you've identified. I see, thanks Amber, I see your response. It'll be great to see many more responses. Thank you, Carla. That's great. Thanks, Sinclair. Thank you, Annaline.
Or argument by incorporating and
Any more responses? I see your correction, Annaline. That's all right. Okay, so for the sake of time, thanks to those of you who posted the list that you identified. And so let's just have a look at, okay, Nurjan, or is it Imran? Imran. Okay, yeah, sometimes it can be a bit slow to upload, so we'll be patient and I'll see it. In the meantime, I'll continue. So let's just go and have a look then at those 2 pages. And let me just pull it up into my share tray. There we go. So I'm sharing with you at the moment the general reading techniques according to your study guide, pages 18 and pages 19. And as so many of you have rightly identified, speed reading, skimming, scanning, study reading, and And then there's a method that you can use also. But for the purposes for today, we're going to be looking at speed reading, skimming, scanning, and study reading. Study reading is broken up into reading interactively, and this is where we're going to spend our time today, and then reading critically. So it's really important for you to become aware of the way that you read. We are fantastic skimmers and scanners, all right? Um, and why do I say that? Because we live in a world of social media and we scroll through our Facebook feeds. We don't read anything there. We're looking at pictures. We're not stopping to read slowly, to really absorb information. We are just skimming through to get a gist of what's there. Then if something does catch our attention, we just sort of skim over the post, and maybe we scan it. Um, for anything specific, maybe. But other than that, we have developed habits of skimming and scanning. You know, Instagram, you're scrolling, you're looking at photographs, you're not really reading carefully. And so my question to you then is, and I want you to now reflect on the reflect on what you did. Thank you so much, Nosicelo, for your response. Let's go back to the presentation. So I have a question for you. I want you to reflect on what you've just done in this exercise. And I want you to reflect on the way in which you read pages 18 and 19. Which strategy or strategies did you use to complete the activity? Remember, the activity asked you to identify the reading strategies on those 2 pages. Which one of those strategies that you have now named in the chat box did you use? Anyone, you want to unmute your microphone and tell us? So did you, yes, go ahead.
Scanning.
You use scanning, yeah, okay. You scanned, yes. Anybody else? Annalene says she used speed reading and scanning. Amber said she used skimming, all right. So let's just drill down very quickly so that we understand the difference between skimming and scanning. All right. So if we go back to page 18 of your study guide, so we skim to get an overview. We read quickly to gather as much information about the text as possible in the shortest amount of time. Scanning is different because we are looking for specific information in a text. So while some of you may have said you scanned, okay, you would have used a combination of skimming and scanning. Oops, did I close it? What did I do? Apologies. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay. You would have used a combination of skimming and scanning. Why? Because you were looking for specific information, namely the reading strategies that were listed or named on the page. It wasn't necessary for you to read every single word, which is your slow reading because you're wanting to understand and remember details. Okay. So I just wanted you to get a feel for how we use these strategies interchangeably and for us to understand the difference between skimming and scanning. And speed reading incorporates some skimming and scanning. So when we're done here today, I'd like you to go back and just read up about skimming and scanning and then just reflect on your reading habits, particularly those habits that you take to your assignments and that you take to your exams. So maybe let's just do a poll very quickly. Which reading strategies, and be honest with yourself, which reading strategies did you use in your assignments? And maybe let's just zoom in on assignment 1, because that was a reading assignment where you had to answer questions based on a text that you read. So, and I know many students struggled with that assignment. So, which reading techniques did you use when you tackle that assignment? Unmute your microphone or in the meeting chat very quickly. Amber says she started with skimming, then went with study reading. Okay, thank you, Amber. Skimming and study reading and scanning, study reading. Okay. Anyone else? Is there anyone here who used skimming and scanning only? Yes, go ahead. Ask Sinclair, your hand was up.
No, I just wanted to add that I use skimming and scanning in my assignment.
Okay, and how was that?
Yeah, it worked for me.
Did it work? And you didn't
Yep.
use what is called study reading at all, as in slow reading?
Afterwards, yeah.
Okay, all right. So use the combination of the, okay, all right. Thanks for that, Sinclair.
Okay.
Imran saying study reading because I had to interpret and understand the text before I could answer the question. All right. So I'm pleased to hear that you skimming and then study reading. Okay. So what you were doing is you were using those strategies interchangeably. But in my experience, I have determined that many students skim and scan and then don't and skim and scan the questions and then battle with understanding the questions because the time they haven't taken the time to read the questions word for word. All right. So using these reading strategies interchangeably and just bringing them to your awareness is important so that you can reflect on them and be fully aware of when you're using which technique and why you are using it. So the way in which the when we use reading strategies is based on why we are reading something. Okay. So if we go back to that little exercise, that 3-minute exercise of just reading 2 pages of your study guide, so you took 3 minutes. So why did I say 3 minutes? Because I was wanting you to use the quick reading techniques, not the study reading, because that would have been counterproductive. You might have taken much longer than 3 minutes um, to identify very quickly the reading strategies on those 2 pages. So those are the reading strategies, and we are going to look at specifically reading interactively. I'm going to give you another activity, and I did explain at the beginning that this is an interactive session. It's not a lecture. You are required to participate. Um, and here comes your next activity. So what I want us to do is we are going to focus on reading interactively. So again, I'm just going to take you back to your study guide, just to go through very quickly what reading interactively means. So, reading interactively is one way of study reading. All right. And it says here it involves reading interactively and critically. So when we read interactively, we think about while we are reading, how does this relate to my own experience and what I know about the world? Secondly, we need to have a conversation with the text. So when we're saying have a conversation with the text, what we mean is as I'm reading this, I should be talking to myself about this text. So I should be saying to myself, okay, I must read actively, but now what do they mean by that? That must be going on in my head. And have a conversation with the text. How do I have a conversation with the text? Well, one of the ways in which you have a conversation with the text is to ask questions as you are reading the text. Or you may relate to something that's in the text. So, for example, let's just go back to assignment 1 quickly, where you read about how cults become religions. So you might have reflected then on, or it might have brought to mind how you practice your faith, the church group you belong to, the faith you belong to, and it might have made you think, okay, it might even make you ask things like, I wonder, is the religion I follow a cult? Did it begin as a cult? Those are the kinds of things that will happen in your mind when you read interactively. Reading is an activity that it puts many of us to sleep. Yes, I agree. But when we read actively, we will no longer fall asleep, because the first thing that you need to do also is have pen and paper with you and make markings on the page that you're reading. And by that, we mean annotate the text. Now, we don't have time today to go into how to annotate the text, but you'll see that if you look here, you'll see that when I hover my cursor over this word here that is blue in your study guide, when you click on it, it'll take you to that website that you're seeing appear on your screen now. And there you will learn more about annotating. What we are going to do today is look at identifying the main idea and topic in each paragraph. So as we are reading something, particularly for academic purposes, and here I'm not talking about reading for pleasure, okay, or leisure. I'm someone who reads for leisure. It's the way that I unwind. It's the way that I relax. It's the way that I escape from being a student, being a mother, being a wife, being work, all that kind of thing. But when we are engaged in reading for academic purposes, it is really important for us to truly get to grips with what we are reading. Because often what we have to do is, in our reading critically, we need to bring to the text what we think. All right? So one of the ways in which we begin being interactive with that text, or involved and engaged with that text, is to find the main idea and the topic sentence in the paragraph. Of course, make notes in the margins, and then of course you're going to have to paraphrase and summarize that information that you've identified in that third bullet point there. Ask questions, make comments, highlight keywords. All right, so I'll show you here how to highlight something. Highlight those keywords and concepts in the text. Highlight unfamiliar words. So if you don't know what annotate means, highlight it and go and look it up. If you don't know what reasoning means, for example, let's just go to reading critically. We read against the grain. Reading against the grain, it becomes a hyperlink, and go and have a look to see what that means. When we read critically, we don't believe everything we read. So you see, we come from a world where of fake news. Yesterday when I heard that the President of the United States had tested positive for COVID-19, the first thing I asked my son, who told me that, I said to him, "Are you sure? It's not fake news, eh? Because no, you mustn't play around with those things. I mean, he's a really important person in the world, and And then my son said to me, "No, it comes from his Twitter account," and so there was credibility attached to the news that Donald Trump had tested positive for COVID-19, him and his wife, the First Lady. But I asked questions. I challenged the announcement. I wanted to know, Is it really true? And because we live in this world of social media, and we are globally connected, through things like, through social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all other kinds of social media platforms, we must question what we read. We must question what we see. Not everything that we read and see is the truth. Okay, so we need to be cautious readers. We need to analyze. We must ask for, show me evidence. And we need to be able to distinguish between fact and opinion. And we do this so that we can form our own opinion on the topic. All right, so that's just taking you very quickly through reading interactively. Hello, Anke. Welcome to the session. So let's go back then to reading strategically or reading interactively. So I'm going to give you an activity now that you have some idea of what reading interactively is all about. I'm going to share, what I'd like you to do is, I'm going to leave this on the screen, and you will see that this is a paragraph, and you will see that each of these sentences have a number. Now in this paragraph, there are 4 sentences. I want you to do the following. You are going to read this paragraph, and I'll give you some time. You are going to read the paragraph, and the instruction is identify the main idea. In other words, find the topic sentence, and all you have to do is, in the meeting chat, I want you to put the number of the sentence that you think contains the main idea. So you'll see that little number 1 there for the first sentence, that little number 2, 3, and 4. I'd like you to just write the number that contains the main idea of the sentence that contains the main idea in the meeting chat. Once you've done that, I want you, this is when you take out your note paper and your pen, I want you to write the sentence down. So it's now 9:44. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. It's 4 sentences, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So till 10 to 10, in order for you to post the number of the sentence that contains the main idea in the chat, and then of course write that sentence down on some note paper wherever you find yourself at the moment. I'm going to mute my microphone so that you don't hear me sipping water. So you have 2 minutes left. I see some people have already started posting. That's great. All right, so how was that? Did you write the sentences down? Did you write, oh, it's not the sentences, the sentence. Did you write the sentence down? You can just give me a thumbs up in the chat. It's important that you write the sentence down on a piece of paper. Thanks, Emilan. Everyone? Okay. All right. Great. All right. Okay. So I see most of you identified. I'll show the paragraph again. So say two. I'll do that. Here it comes. People are asking for me to show the paragraph again. There it is, and there we go. Oops. I'm sorry. Okay, so for the sake of time, time is going so quickly. Let's just talk about this. Okay, so most of you have posted sentence number 1. And yes, it is indeed sentence number 1, but let's just look at why it's sentence number 1. Does anybody want to unmute their microphone and say why they chose sentence 1? Anyone?
So can I speak?
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
The first sentence is the topic sentence. The rest of the sentences gives more information about the first sentence.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well done. Yes. So sentence number one most definitely is, and that was, who was that? I didn't see, I'm sorry, I didn't have I was sharing the PowerPoints. I couldn't see who was speaking. Was it Carla? Was it you, Carla?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yes, Carla, you're spot on. All right, and a good explanation. Absolutely. Um, you'll see that you'll see that the first sentence tells us is what we call the topic sentence because it tells us what the paragraph is about. And every sentence that follows it, sentence 2, 3, and 4, these sentences tell us more, give us more information about that sentence. So this sentence is all about people who suffer from a reading disability and how the use of colored plastic overlays on books can produce dramatic improvement. Sentence 2 is all about a study that was conducted about that um, about people with a reading disability and how many people responded positively to this procedure. The third sentence continues to explain and describe these overlays. And sentence 4 also deals with the study that was mentioned in sentence 2. So I'd like you to just to do another one like that. So here's the second paragraph. You're going to do exactly the same thing, except this time it's longer. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes again. Remember, use your reading strategies interchangeably. So you don't have to read everything word for word. All right? But there are 7 sentences here, so I'm going to give you till 10 o'clock. It's now 5:02. I'm going to give you till 10 o'clock to, again, post the number of the sentence that contains the main idea in the chat, and then write that sentence down somewhere. Okay. So I've been interacting with you on the chat. I've got the meeting open on my phone also, so I've been talking to you that way while keeping the paragraph up there. And yes, who'd like to unmute the microphone and explain why sentence number 1 is indeed the topic sentence in this paragraph here, bearing in mind the previous explanation? Anyone? So I hope you've written the topic sentence down on a piece of paper, because we're going to use those sentences. Okay, let's see what Setu's saying here. Well, I thought number 6 was actual main idea as it seemed to state the research outcomes. Okay. Emmeline saying sentence number 1 provides the main idea of the text while the rest of the sentence provides supporting information. Okay. Setu saying because on the rest of the sentences the information is broken down. Okay. So what I did was I put this into a Word document. Let me just pull it up into my, no, not that one. No, it's not this one. Sorry. It's this one. So Setu, can everyone see that? Let me just make my screen a bit bigger. Okay. All right. So we're saying that, is somebody have something to say? Okay. So we've identified this sentence, number 1, to be the main idea, to contain the main idea. Okay. And if we were to look at the rest of these sentences, every sentence that follows, okay, tells us why, tells us more about this sentence here. And it's not specifically about the whole sentence, but it is about the idea that is contained within the sentence. So who'd like to unmute the microphone and then just tell me what is the idea that is contained within this sentence?
Is that one that says, hi, it's me, Onke.
Hi.
Hi. I think it's that one that says, I would cut it short. As you said, it's the first one that says women should not smoke when they are pregnant.
Well done. Absolutely.
I think that's the main idea.
Yes.
And then the rest, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Anke. Great stuff. Okay. So even though we've got all of these other words in this topic sentence, the idea of the sentence, the main idea of the sentence is that women should when they are pregnant. Okay, that's the main idea. And everything that comes after that gives us evidence as to why women should not smoke when they are pregnant. All right. So, Setu, I'm hoping that that's going to help you. Okay. In the same way, we can do the same with text number 2. Okay. But I'm very conscious of time. So let's just stay with this one for now. Now, I'm going to stop sharing that because you have that sentence written down. Okay. Thank you, Fatima. I see. Okay, Setu, you're saying it's making sense now. Great. So, yeah. Okay. So, what I'm wanting to do now is, and this is something that you're going to find you would have, if you think back to assignment 1, this is what you might have had to do. I think it was question number 1 for assignment 1, where you had to summarize the developmental stages of religion in your own words after you read that passage. So what we're actually doing at the moment is breaking down step by step how we would go about summarizing a paragraph. We're just working with one paragraph for the purposes of today. But you would do this if you were reading a text like assignment 1's long text, which had 7 paragraphs. You would do that for every single paragraph. And this is how you read interactively. Okay. But there's something else that comes with reading interactively. So if I were to say to you now, I want you to summarize this paragraph, all right? So what we mean by that is identify the main idea. But now, remember, you've identified the main idea, but you now need to put that into your own words. And often students become really confused by this because they're thinking, what does this mean when I put it into my own words? And so I want to spend time just going through that very quickly to explain to you what it means and how you go about putting something in your own words. I'm just trying to find my sheet today. I'm clicking all over the show at the moment. Here we go. So then one of the bullet points in your study guide about reading interactively was to identify the main ideas, but then also to summarize that information. So when you see something that says, like question 1 in your tutorial letter that said, summarize the developmental stages of religion in your own words. What we mean is you have to paraphrase it. So you take the main idea or ideas and then you rewrite it as you have understood it. Okay, so that's the main idea. That's the main idea, but we have now identified that women should not smoke when they are pregnant. That's actually the main idea of that sentence. Now, if you were to be asked to summarize this paragraph, you could simply rewrite that section, but remember these words you have not written. You are taking this out of this paragraph which someone else has written. So you would have to put that into quotation marks. And the way that you get away from using the quotation marks, because in academic writing, we don't always want to quote somebody else, because when we quote too much, it tells the reader, and in our instance, it will be the marker, that we haven't really engaged with what we've read. We haven't spent time understanding what that person is wanting to communicate, the idea or ideas that the writer is communicating. So I'm going to show you a very short video on what we mean by paraphrase and, more importantly, how to paraphrase. So I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint and I'm going to share a video with you, and it's called Paraphrasing Your Ideas in paraphrasing ideas in your writing, and it's a video that the University of Melbourne has put together. So let me just share that with you, and it's very short. It's a 3 minute video.
Hi, this is Ariana Henderson from Academic Skills. Today, we're introducing paraphrasing and how you can use 4 simple steps to create an accurate and effective paraphrase. Paraphrasing and summarizing are key writing and research skills, and for these reasons, should be used more heavily than direct quotes. Like summarizing, paraphrasing involves rewriting the original idea in your own words. However, while a summary is shorter than the original and only captures the main points, a paraphrase is generally the same length as the original text. Now, let's create our own paraphrase. We're going to use this sample sentence to practice. First, read the original sentence over and over until you completely understand it. Once you fully understand the author's idea, you're ready to incorporate it into your argument. Next, identify any key words or phrases. This can include any words with subject-specific meanings, numbers, and formula. You can highlight or underline them, or ideally, write them on a separate piece of paper. Now you're ready to put the original sentence to one side and use the key words and phrases as prompts to create your own sentence. Consider where you can change the word form or use a synonym. However, sometimes have a very specific meaning and should stay the same. Using these terms, try writing your new sentence, taking care to maintain the same relationship between the main and supporting ideas. Finally, compare the original text with your paraphrase and ask yourself if the vocabulary and sentence structure are different to the original. Even if you have a short phrase or series of distinctive words from the original text, these words should be enclosed in quotation marks. Also, keep the meaning the same and the length similar to the original. Once you're happy with it, add an in-text citation and your paraphrase is complete. If you think you can improve your paraphrase further, it's okay to go back to step 3 and try again. To change the sentence structure, try these strategies. Change an active verb to passive. Introduce a modal. Change a positive statement to negative. Using these strategies is effective because changing the word form can often force you to change the sentence structure. So, follow these 4 steps and you too can enhance your argument by incorporating and acknowledging others' ideas into your discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to pause it there, because that gives you a really nice breakdown. And I don't know if you want to maybe do a screenshot of this so that you've got it in front of you for your future practicing of your writing summaries. And this is something that you writing a summary and developing this technique of paraphrasing and writing summaries and paraphrasing ideas in your writing is really something that it is a technique and a skill that you must develop as a novice academic writer. And so even though today's tutorial is about reading strategically, you'll start to understand just how intertwined and integrated reading and writing are in at university, because the two cannot exist on their own. When we read for academic purposes, we have to write as well in order for us to paraphrase, to create summaries, in order to engage with what we are reading, in order for those ideas that others have put down on paper for us to understand it. So it's not just reading what we call passively and falling asleep and saying, I don't know what I'm reading. It's so difficult. I'm struggling with this module. So the purpose of the tutorial today is to show you just how important it is for you to read, interact. So it is now 1:15. So what I'd like you to do is to take that one sentence and take that one sentence and I see somebody's posted something. Take that one sentence and what you can do is see if you are able to summarize it and paraphrase it. In other words, take that bit of the sentence, which was, women should not smoke when they are pregnant. See if you can take the idea of that using these steps and see if you can create a new sentence using different words. Okay. And even if you don't come up with a full sentence, maybe we can talk about it. Maybe you can unmute your microphone or you can even post it in the chat because I've got the chat open here. So, Imran, I see your request. I'll see if I can find the link, okay? So what you can do is maybe in the chat, just very quickly, what are the key words or phrases in that sentence of that paragraph that we had earlier? It doesn't have to be everything. You can just give me keywords and phrases from the original main idea, which is women should not smoke when they are pregnant. So what are the key words or phrases from that that part of the main idea in that sentence, in the paragraph? In the chat, just quickly. Anyone?
Hi.
Okay, Fatima's saying women smoke. Imran saying scientific evidence women smoke, pregnant, danger. Yes, evidence women smoke, pregnant women not smoke. Okay, so well done to you for identifying those key ideas. Now what you need to do with it, according to that, according to the video, is according to the steps for paraphrasing, is for you to create a new sentence using those ideas. But not only using those words as is, using different words to communicate the same ideas. So what other word instead of the word pregnant could you use? Pregnant women. And now what's the other way for you to describe? What other words can you use to describe pregnant women? Not smoking. Okay. And that's how you create a paraphrase. I have put the link to this video. It's found on YouTube. I have put the link in the meeting chat, so you can copy and paste it from there if you want to go and watch it again. And I see Richard has said that the recording of today's session will be available by Monday, and he has posted the link there for the recording also. Okay. Fatima, well done. Yes. Expecting, yes. Okay, excellent, Carla. So, Fatima, instead of expecting, I would say expectant. Annaline, yes, when women are expecting, they must avoid smoking, yeah? So, well done. You are paraphrasing. And you well done. I'm very happy. I'm very pleased. This is excellent. Okay. All right. So I see we've got 8 minutes left, and there was something else I wanted to do with you, but unfortunately there may not be time. And so we might have to just leave that section out. And let me just see, maybe I can just explain it to you. So you're probably wondering, what has all of this got to do with the exam? Okay. So you're going to use these reading strategies in the exam. You're going to have to ask yourself, why am I reading this? What am I supposed to do? So you're going to use these strategies to answer the exam questions. You're going to read each question word for word. You're going to analyze every question. And the way in which you analyze the question is to use these 4 questions to make sense of the question. So for example, maybe next time what we can do is look at the past paper, and we can analyze using our reading strategies and using these 4 steps. I'll do that next time with you. We'll start off with that by analyzing the question in order for us to understand the question. And then once we have identified where the answer is, we base our answer on the text and we paraphrase the information. In other words, if the answer's in the text, okay, then we take that information, but we write it using our own words. In other words, we paraphrase the information. Okay. Any comments or questions there? I have an example that I can show you very quickly. Just to show you what I'm talking about so that it's in the recording, but I will start off next week's session with this. And if needs be, I might even run extra sessions in the week. So keep a lookout for your email for an invitation. Okay, so this was a question that I took from a past paper, and it said in the paragraph numbered 2, so I copied and pasted the question from the paper, and I copied and pasted the paragraph that the question was referring to. So it says, the author suggests that phoning friends has become a more isolating experience. Now you'll see there, that's a repetition of this, okay? In your own words, that means paraphrase, okay? Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of technology that are mentioned in paragraph 2. That's what you've got to do. So in other words, they're telling you that in this paragraph, there are advantages and disadvantages of technology. Now what you've got to do is find those advantages and disadvantages and rewrite what you have found here as a paraphrase in your own words. Does that make sense to everyone? I know I've done very quickly. Okay. Annaline, all right. You're welcome, Annaline. That's fine. Okay. I know I've gone through it very, very quickly, but I think, okay, from your responses, people have gotten it. So I'm wanting to leave you today. It's 25 past. I want to leave you today with the clear notion that when we use our reading strategies, and more particularly when we read interactively and we read critically, you're going to gain so much more from the text, in that you are going to be able to answer the questions more effectively. Unfortunately, because of time today, I haven't really been able to get to how we apply this to answering the questions. But I think I've shown you very quickly how you can do that. And next week, I will start off the session with talking about taking the reading strategies to the questions and applying it to the questions. So Setu, you're saying the exam is on the 21st? Yes, according to the lecturer, the exam is on the 21st. It's a portfolio exam. I'm calling it a portfolio exam because it starts on the 21st. In other words, you're able to access the paper or the questions on the 21st, and you have to submit your answers by the 24th. So you have the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th to complete your answers. Okay? And I'm really not sure. You need to watch out for a tutorial letter from your from the lecturers. So please check the announcements tab on My UNISA regularly. Look, you need to, especially now with the lead up to the exam, because the tutorial letter is going to come out soon. Okay, so a portfolio exam, Imran, it's just called a portfolio exam, okay? It's simply you're putting together your answers in such a way that it's a document that consists of more than, it's like you know what, imagine you had to take assignment 1 and assignment 2 and combined them into what we call a portfolio. I'm going to just put my camera on now. Again, so that you can see me and see that I'm a real person, especially for the people who just joined. I'm also going to, Bronwyn's not here. I'm also going to, okay, thank you. The lecturer is here and has just posted. We will provide in-depth guidance on the exam process. Yes, Asetu, it's similar to your assignment that is due on the 24th. So you're given a couple of days to complete the exam. Okay, but as Dr. Shangi has indicated in the chat, you will be given this guidance. And as I've pointed out to you, use your reading strategies. And the one strategy you must use when you are reading a tutorial letter is you have to read word for word. You cannot skim and scan a tutorial letter. Okay, it's not the appropriate reading strategy to use. So, Bronwyn, if you are here, I don't have the link now for the feedback. So it'll be really great, Bronwyn, if you can just post it for me, because I'm not quite sure where the feedback is. Sinclair, may I share the link with the other students on the Telegram group who missed the session? Dr. Shange, can you reply to that question, please? If you're still here, go ahead, ma'am. Or sir.
Hi, sorry, I missed the question because I was busy typing something on the chat.
All right. Okay, so the student's saying, may I share the link with the other students on the Telegram group who missed the session? So this Sinclair is wanting to share the Teams link of the session so that other students can attend next time, I suppose.
Actually, it's not Sinclair's duty to do that. Such materials should be posted on the My UNISA platform. But I mean, I cannot control what students do on Telegram. That is her own decision, really. It's not up to us to decide for her. If she feels she wants to do it, it's up to her, but it's not from us as such.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Thanks for that. Sinclair, Bronwyn's also posted something and said, rather request the Telegram group to join the live session. You can share the Teams meeting link with them. Okay. Bronwyn, can you please post the feedback form students are wanting to complete the feedback before they leave. So before you leave the group, I would like to just quickly recap. So what we did today, and I'm just going to do it without showing slides. It's just going to take too much time. Today we looked at reading strategy, using reading strategies interchangeably, reading a text interactively, analyzing exam questions. We didn't get to that, and I said I would start with that next week. And essentially where we were looking at our reading strategies and using them interchangeably. So next, in our next tutorial, which will be next Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, we're going to be looking at the exam essay, and I will start off by going through how to analyze a question and looking at the essay question. So as a checkout for me, even though you're going to be completing an evaluation form for the Learning Center, I would like to know from you what stood out for you today. What was the thing that stood out for you today? What are you taking away from today's session? You may unmute your microphone or you may post it in the chat. Bronwyn, if you're still here, please can you post the feedback link in the chat for me? I can't seem to find it at the moment. So my question to you is, Fatima, thank you, Fatima. You saying identifying the main idea and paraphrasing. Anyone else? What stood out for you today before we say goodbye? Annalene saying, what stood out for me was the fact that I myself saw that it is not that hard. Okay, all right, yes. Okay, it's not as difficult as we believe it might be. Setu saying the steps to critical reading, paraphrasing, now I understand it better. I just have to reconstruct a sentence with my own words. Absolutely, absolutely. The different ways to paraphrase. So yes, the approach to paraphrasing. You follow those 4 steps and that's how you paraphrase a sentence, an idea in a paragraph. Okay, and this is what you needed to do for your essay, your assignment 2, was what you needed to do lots of, because you were reading lots of other people's ideas when you were doing your research. All right, so it seems like we've come to the end of our time together this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It was really grateful to spend time with you, and I really appreciate and value your interaction. I hope that you got what you needed from the session today. And so on that note, I'd like to say goodbye to everyone. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next Saturday. Thanks and take care. Stay safe. Social distance, wear your mask, wash your hands. All those good things still apply, even though we are on level 1. The virus is not on level 1. Thank you, everyone. Take care.